Have you ever wondered how to calculate how much money your co-living deal is actually going to make? Well, so on this breakdown, we're going to look at this beginner level calculator, and it's going to show a variety of things from, your monthly revenue, expenses, monthly profit, and then dive a little into these higher end things like cash on cash, equity splits, and all that fun stuff. So to start, you take the address and the zip code. Now, ideally, it matches the buy box from the ebook, right? Close to jobs. And when you have the zip code, you're going to go into your PadSplit account and you're going to dig. First, you're going to start high level, and then you're going to dig more into deeper, like, all right, exact zip codes. Now, you always want to look at, like on ours, we do new build construction in Houston, so we're always looking at the private bath, but also consider shared. And then the next thing you're factoring in when you're deciding which number that you're going to put into your calculator is your property brand new or is it older? Like what's the condition, the size, all that. And you'll want to talk closely with not only your rep, but also your property manager. And so use this tool. So here's the average overall for Houston, because that's where we're building. I'm showing this example, 258. And then you want to dive a little bit more because certain zip codes are going to be higher, right? 36 bedrooms. Some are going to be lower, 244. And so you'll want to factor in both and maybe identify the average of the two. It's going to be up to you on your tolerance, your risk tolerance, which number, or maybe it's right in between the two. So you identify how many rooms that you're expecting after looking at the floor plans. Then you plug in this number from the PadSplit site. And then all this is going to auto-populate, majority, especially once you get down here from here on. So then the next part, whether you're buying it creative or new construction or even on market retail, you're going to need to identify what the mortgage is going to be. And so I'm not going to walk through all these steps. It's fairly self-explanatory. And once you have it though, then you're going to plug in your PITI there. Now to highlight just the last few things, work closely with your property manager on this. These are estimates, right? They're starting points. Some are going to be higher or lower depending on your certain market, your certain property. So for example, here, I just have it as a base case starting point for these expenses. It's roughly 14% on average. If the property is brand new, your electric might be a lot better. Or if you're, South Florida versus, up north, your electric bills, all of it's going to be a lot different. I do have 15% vacancy in here. Use this at your discretion, up or down. Again, this will be property specific, the maintenance of reserves, what's appropriate. So like if you're converting, probably stick with the 7% or even higher. Like depends on, how much rehab you're going to be doing to the property. Or if it's brand new, like we like to front raise our reserves. So we actually drop this down to like 3%. Typically, you're going to want to keep this here unless you're actively filling the property yourself, and then they waive the first 10-day fee. So you could, in theory, push this down a little more. And then lastly, right here, 5 to 10% for property management. I definitely recommend hiring someone for this. You could try to outsource it, but to me, it's the fast track to tired landlord. And then on this video, I'm not actually going to dive much into this, but it's important to show, like, if you are bringing on equity partners, so not private money lenders, but equity partners, what some of these benefits will look like to them. Ideally, keep it simple, 1/3, 1/2, that type of stuff. And then lastly, what I wanted to mention is on here, after, you've created a copy of this calculator, that's how you're going to modify all this. There's some pro tips just to look at things a little more closely. But I do want to encourage your sticking in these major metros. And this is whether you use PadSplit or not. There's a lot of data out there, and you want to be in harmony with as much of it as you possibly can rather than going against the grain. And this data, getting close to these metros, square foot, bed, bath, all of it, within 30 miles of the core market, it'll help save you a lot of time, energy, and money.